should turn it back. I've always been interested in art that is willing to call itself finished when it clearly isn't finished, when it clearly isn't good, when it clearly has no value, but still, it makes a demand for itself in its insufficient state. I don't know if a single day has gone by where I haven't been trying to accept myself in some capacity. I'm in a constant state of self-rejection, meaning that I'm not good enough and I must put all my efforts towards becoming good enough. Those efforts are inevitably subpar. I don't know if it's possible to overcome that. It seems odd to deny this or to pretend that it isn't the case. I don't know if I can help it one way or another. I spent the last 20 minutes going over everything I've written so far. I began rewriting some of it, but I began to feel like it was pointless and I'm not helping any of it. It either works or it doesn't. Reading back what I've written is usually agonizing. Most of it feels useless and embarrassing. I want to deny that I had anything to do with writing any of it in the first place. Instead, I want to rewrite it in order for it to represent me in a way that is more favorable, or in a way that the information is useful. That way people will think that I am good. It seems, looking at how much effort I put into these things, that I'm searching for some validation. It seems difficult to admit that. I don't know why I'm so adamant at trying to hide what I want. Why am I so embarrassed to admit that I want to be successful? We're going to start transitioning Nora to her crib soon. It seems strange to me to do this. It seems strange to me to do so this early. I'm reminded of the first night we brought her back from the hospital. When she slept, we were checking constantly to see her breath. And still I notice I'm checking constantly to see her breath. And so, I'd rather not move her to her own room, to stay close and to know she is okay. But apparently, this is what people do. I spent the day with Nora. She always needs something in her hands now. A gray lemur and a multicolored ball, both of which she can grip and flail and try to eat. It seems that she is frustrated with these things, but I'm unsure what she wants instead. It seems that she wants to destroy something. I keep her on the bed until she seems like she's had enough. I bring her downstairs to the couch until it is time to feed her a bottle. When I feed her bottle, she makes all kinds of noises. She seems hyper and whiny and again frustrated. Her legs kick and she yells while she is drinking. She reaches her hand out to grab one of my fingers and holds on tightly as she chugs the milk, sometimes grabbing the bottle and yanking it out of her mouth. Eventually I took her upstairs for her nap. There's a part of me that thinks it is hopeless to get her to sleep on my own, but still, I give it a shot. Despite rubbing her eyes and letting out a long yawn, she is formidable in her unwillingness to sleep. I put her sleep sack on and take her to the rocking chair. I read her a story and seem to calm her. I made up a song about taking a nap on this particular rainy day. We looked out the window, showing her the light. May have been a mistake, but she seemed mesmerized by the tree. Eventually I closed the blinds and turned on the white noise. She began to cry. I tried to use the pacifier to calm her, but it did not help. I stood outside the doorway for a few minutes until the cries ramped up so much that they were sounding hysterical. I went back in and gave her the pacifier again. It only made matters worse. I picked her up and tried to calm her. I think I'd seen Miriam holding her vertically over her shoulder, rather than cradling her. I tried that, calmed her down, but she didn't seem tired. I put her back down and waited outside the door again. I may have done this one more time, and then it seemed she was asleep. She began crying on the baby monitor again. I went back into the room. Her eyes were closed and she lifted her hands to her face. I tried to get her to take her pacifier, but she wouldn't. Instead, she grabbed my finger and began crying louder. Miriam came in and lifted her up and comforted her back to sleep. I went downstairs and cut an apple into slices. I sat at my computer and tried to focus on writing again. Trying to get used to waking up closer to 5 to give myself more time to write. I'm trying to make more time to write less. There's something to be said about typing as fast as possible as a way of trying to access ideas that are unordinary or below the surface of things. It seems that often I have nothing to say. I'll sit quietly staring in different directions. opening the internet and seeing what is going on with things. It seems like Israel has agreed to a 4-day ceasefire. When I read this, I felt a sense of relief, but also a sense of worry. I think of what it means to be a spectator and what it means to suspend our disbelief. The question of what we are obliged to feel is unanswerable. The relevance of that conflict to me seems unparalleled. I suspect a part of that is due to how my worldview was shaped growing up in Hebrew school. Despite how defiant I felt or thought I was being in those years, and I will note that I maximize those efforts every day, Judaism seems irrevocably imprinted on my spirit. I suppose it is yet another example of the ultimate lesson that life has to offer. It is, as usual, what seems to be the core value of any spirituality, is that you must accept, always and indefinitely, what is beyond your ultimately mundane existence. It is then, perhaps, you can reach towards an attempt at transcending your own narcissistic self. I called my mom and told her about the daycare we'd signed Nora up for. She was worried about the staff to kids ratio. I told her that I didn't know what the ratio was or what the proper ratio. I told her I didn't know what the ratio was or what the I told her I didn't know what the ratio was or what the proper ratio would even be. She asked me how I was doing, and I found I wasn't able to articulate myself well. It was as if everything I wasn't saying was taking up more space than what I actually was.